Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about plagiarism, what it is, and how to avoid committing plagiarism. So plagiarism is when you take someone else's work and try to pass it off as your own work without giving them credit. So this could be having someone else write a paper for you, taking someone else's paper and just putting your name at the top, uh, having someone else do a quiz for you or taking their quiz questions, looking up the answers to quiz questions online, or having AI write something for you. Those are all examples where you're not doing the work of your coursework, you're just taking it from someone else, and they'd all be examples of plagiarism. And in college, there are very serious penalties for plagiarism. And this is the case at Penn Highlands and other colleges. So you could lose points in the assignment. You could get a 0 on the assignment, which is quite common. You could fail the entire course if you do it more than once. And if you keep doing it, you can be expelled from college and have it added to your permanent record. And again, this isn't just at Penn Highlands. These are just about every college you'll ever go to. So it's very taken very seriously here. So what are ways to avoid plagiarism? So specifically with papers, if you're writing something in a paper, some piece of information that you got from somewhere else, you still have to cite it. So if it's an idea you got from a book or an article or a website or wherever, in the body of the paper where you mention that factor information, you have to do an in-text citation where you see here where we have the author's last name and the page number. So always cite sources. If you're not sure, you can just cite it anyways. So plagiarism tends to be very common with papers, oftentimes by accident. So again, if you're using someone else's information or ideas, cite it here in the body of the text and on your references page for your paper. Another thing to do is, again, people often commit plagiarism by accident. If you're taking notes from websites you look at or books you read or something like that, make sure within your notes you write down where you got that information from. That way you don't mix up your ideas with the ideas of someone else. So always keep your notes and the sources you're citing together. Another big aspect of not committing plagiarism and writing good papers is to paraphrase something. So, say at the top here, I find this sentence: the results of our study indicate that a high sugar diet increases the chance of diabetes by 35%. If I use that sentence in my paper word for word, I have to put it in quotation marks, but you don't want to write a whole paper that's full of quotes. Generally, what you're going to want to do is paraphrase the sentence, where you take the sentence, you rearrange it so it's got its own unique sort of sentence structure. You change some of the words and terms. You see here, this sentence is specifically or significantly different than the original sentence. This way, you can practice your own writing skills and show that you understand the original information really well because you can rewrite it, that you're not just copying things from someone else. So, again, with paraphrasing, you want to rewrite the whole sentence with your own sentence structure, your own terms, and things like that. And there's additional guides out there that you can look at on how to paraphrase properly. And again, I mentioned this before. If you do take something word for word, make sure you put it in quotation marks and then cite it. You don't want large portions of your paper to be quotes. No more than 10% of your paper should be direct quotes. You just want to use them here and there to get ideas across, especially if something's said really well, you might put in a direct quote, but don't do it too often. Another rule when it comes to citing things is the common knowledge rule. And as you see here, you don't need to cite well-known ideas or facts that everybody knows. So you don't need to cite that water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, or you don't need to cite that Abraham Lincoln was president during the Civil War. But you would need to cite something like the melting temperature for steel, because most people don't know that, or you would need to cite who was the general at Gettysburg, because most people probably don't know those facts. So this is a little subjective, but if it's some piece of information that is really common that everybody would know, you don't need to cite it. Of course, if you're not sure, you can cite things anyways, but if it's really obvious you think that something's common knowledge, you wouldn't need to cite it. Another big thing when it comes to plagiarism is the impact of artificial intelligence now. So first things first, if you're going to use artificial intelligence to help you for a paper or project, make sure that you have the instructor's permission to do that. Two, don't have AI just do the paper or project or quiz for you. Ask the AI to sort of help you, maybe brainstorm or look for ideas or suggest sources or something like that. So it's acting kind of like a guide or a tutor. If you have the AI do the work for you, then you're getting more into plagiarism territory. Again, also double check AI sources. Sometimes AI will make mistakes or sort of make up sources by accident. And another thing, just like other types of sources that you might use for a paper or project, make sure you cite that you used AI. If you look on the library website, there are resources from both, in both APA and MLA style about how to cite sources that you used or information that you got from AI. Another big thing I run into with students that plagiarize, whether intentionally or not, is that they failed to manage their time. They ran out of time when they were working on a paper and they kind of panicked and they copied something or they took someone else's paper or something like that. A big part of college and writing papers and working on big projects is managing your time. I know it's easy to say, but don't wait to the last minute to work on a paper or work on a project. Try to get a head start, at least get some of it done. Remember, at the end of the semester and at midterms, you're going to have a lot of different projects and tests and finals and things going on. So you want to try to get as much done in advance of that to save yourself some time and free yourself up a little bit to finish up projects, but not have to do too much at once. All right, so those are the best pieces of advice I have on how to avoid plagiarism and give you advice on what plagiarism is. You can see here it's things I mentioned like citing sources, paraphrasing, using quotes, citing anything that isn't common knowledge, managing your time, and using AI responsibly. This has been a quick overview when it comes to plagiarism. You may have questions because it can be complex at times. So feel free to reach out to me, Alex Kirby, at my email address here, akirby@penhounds.edu, and I'd be happy to help you look over papers or anything like that. So good luck on all your papers and projects.